Good day, my dear 6th class students. Previously, I taught you the lesson in Unit-3. The title of the lesson is Little Hearts. This is in the new syllabus English textbook. Now, yesterday I explained the story of the event about little hearts, which normally happens in some of these villages when children play, they quarrel, and it goes into the hands of the parents, and finally when the parents are fighting, the children resume their playing, and parents will be ashamed of their behavior. That is what the story about that little hearts. Now in this lesson, or in this Unit 3, there are two other stories. One is about wise judgment, and another one, a mother's wise advice. See, we have two things: listening comprehension and reading comprehension. Reading comprehension means when you read some matter, a story or an essay, how much you are able to understand the portion that you read. That is called a reading comprehension. Whereas listening comprehension, when somebody is reading the lesson to you, how well, instead of much I say, how well you listened to the lesson, how well you understood the lesson, that's called listening comprehension. One is a reading comprehension and the other one is listening comprehension. These two are related because if somebody has to listen, that means somebody has to read. So there is reading and the other one is listening. But there is a slight difference in the sense. If you are reading to yourself, within yourself, then there is no listening comprehension. So if somebody reads aloud, then somebody listens to that, then it is the listening comprehension that measures how well the other student has understood what the first person read. So the first one is the listening comprehension and second one is the reading comprehension. So first one it says listening, the wise judgment. And second one is about read it yourself, a mother's wise advice. This one, the first one, the wise judgment. Some of you might have heard about this story. There was a swan. Somebody shoots the swan falls on the feet of another person. This person is a very kind person, so he removes the arrow. Shoots means shooting with an arrow, bow and arrow. Okay, all right? Now this person takes out the arrow, cleans all the wound. Arrow guskunte raktam vastadilla adanta ina the other person cleans it, and whatever medicine he knows. In those days the medicines are not like you go to a medical shop, get a tablet and all that. Those days all the medicines are, not all, I would say some of them are extracted from the leaves of the forest or surrounding plants and trees. So this man, at whose feet the swan fell down, he takes out the arrow, cleans it, and he puts some essence of some leaves. Leaves and మనం అంటాం, పసరు అంటాం. ఆకులు ఇలాగ ఆకులు బాగా చేసి ముద్దలా చేసి దాన్ని గట్టిగా పిండితే ఆకులు పసరు వస్తుంది. And incidentally, I want to tell you, some of the good medicines are developed only from the leaves. That's why forests are a big treasure. We should not kill the trees in the forest. That's called afforestation and deforestation. You will learn that in your social studies. Deforestation means cutting the trees and the plants, whereas afforestation is growing more trees. Anyway, this gentleman, this person, saves the life of the swan. So the first person goes to the king and complains that the swan belongs to him and the other person is not giving. So the king, without knowing what to do, he refers the matter to the chief minister. Pradhan Mantra antam. So chief minister looks at it, understands it, and gets the information, what happened and all that. Then he gives his judgment. He says that the swan belongs to the second person because he is the one who took care of the swan, whose life, he brought it to life. If for the other person, second person is not there, because of the wound, the swan would have died. So, the second person saved the life of the swan. So, the minister says that the swan belongs to the person who saved it. Here, the person who shot the arrow, his name is Devadatta, and the person who saved it, it is Siddhartha, who is popularly known as Buddha. That is the story of Buddha. So, there is a king of King Suddhodana, and he has a minister, chief minister, and there is Devadatta, there is Siddhartha and Swan. So the characters in this story are Suddhodana, that is the king, then Devadatta, who shot the arrow at the swan, Siddhartha, who saved the swan, and the chief minister, or the king and the chief minister. Those are the characters involved in this. So once again, it's a very interesting story. Story that reminds the greatness of Siddhartha. There are several stories about Buddha. Siddhartha later on, I think he is called as Buddha. So in this story, Suddhodana, the king of Kapilavastu, and there is Devadatta, who shoots an arrow at a swan, and swan falls down on the feet of Siddhartha, where Siddhartha is sitting. Siddhartha nurses, N-U-R-S-E-S, nurse అనేది నౌన్ అనొచ్చు, నర్సెస్ అని కూడా వెర్బ్ కింద వాడచ్చు. సో హీ నర్స్డ్ ది స్వాన్. నర్స్డ్ అంటే అర్థం ఏంటి? దాన్ని క్లీన్ చేసి ఆరో తీసేసి జాగ్రత్తగా అది బాధపడకుండా ఈ టైం అని నడుస్తుంది. వెన్ యూ టేక్ అవుట్ అన్ ఆరో ఇట్ విల్ బి క్రైంగ్ లైక్ హ్యావ్. దాన్ని చాలా ఓదార్చి ఆ ఆరో తీసి క్లీన్ చేసి అప్పుడు కొంచెం పసర్లో ఏవో మెడిసిన్స్ అని వేసి దాన్ని బాగా లైఫ్కి తీసుకొచ్చాడు. సో దట్స్ ది స్టోరీ. He saved it. So the chief minister, after hearing the story, he says that the swan belongs to Siddhartha. So that is a wise judgment. An item which was killed by a person, about to be killed by a person, he does not have the authority on the person. The person who saved the animal, he owns it. So that is the judgment made by the chief minister. So here it is called, it's a wise judgment. Just because Siddhartha shot it, not Siddhartha, I'm sorry, Devadatta shot it, the chief minister did not say, yes, this swan belongs to Devadatta. No, he didn't say that. he said, since Siddhartha saved the swan belongs to Siddhartha. Okay, having heard the story, now I will read the story. I want you to watch how I am pronouncing the story, and there is not many difficult words here. So let me read the story. So please look at page number 47. You see page number 47, it says listening. So listening comprehension. Listen to the following story and answer the following question. Answer the question. Yeah, we will answer. The wise judgment. The name of the story is The Wise Judgment. Suddhodana was the king of Kapilavastu. Siddhartha was his son and Devadatta his nephew. Devadatta is the nephew of Suddhodana. Suddhodana is the king of Kapilavastu. So Devadatta is his nephew and Siddhartha is the son of Suddhodana. That is the king of Kapilavastu. So you understood? There are three characters here. There is Kapilavastu. Kapilavastu is the name of the town. For that the king is Suddhodana, and Suddhodana's son is Siddhartha, and his nephew is Devadatta. Devadatta is the one who shot the arrow. Siddhartha is the one who saved the swan. Okay? Alright, let me move on. One day, Devadatta came to the king's court in an angry mood. Your Majesty, I want justice, he shouted. Evaru? This is Devadatta. What has happened? Asked the king. King asked his nephew, what has happened? Siddhartha has taken away my swan. Siddhartha, na swanu, తీసుకున్నాడు. He is not giving it to me, said Devadatta. అతను నాకు తిరిగి నాకు ఇవ్వట్లేదని Devadatta అన్నాడట. The king was surprised. Because he knew that Siddhartha was good and gentle. Good చాలా మంచివాడు, చాలా సున్నితమైన స్వభావం ఉన్నటువంటి వాడు. He never takes anything from anyone. తను ఎవరి నుండి ఏమి తీసుకోడు. Now I move on to the next page, that is 48. Now here you see a court with the king, minister, and Siddhartha. Siddhartha having this fan in his hand, and this one, what is that? Devadatta with a bow and arrow here. That is the court. You can see that. King, minister, and Siddhartha with the swan in his hand, and Devadatta with a bow and arrow there. Okay? That's what it is. Now, let me read that. Just then, Siddhartha entered the court with a swan in his arms. Appudu, Siddhartha swan చేతులు ఉంటుండగా వచ్చాడట. Is that your swan? The king asked Devadatta. Devadatta అడిగాడు, is that your swan? Yes, it is. I shot it, said Devadatta. అంటున్నారు, the king asked, king ఏమడిగాడు, is that your swan అని ఎవరిని అడిగారు? Devadatta అని అడిగాడు. అడిగితే ఏమన్నాడు Devadatta, yes, it is. I shot it. నేను దాన్ని షాట్ చేశానని చెప్పాడట. But the swan felt at my feet. ఇది ఎవరంటున్నారు? సిద్ధార్థ అంటున్నాడు. ఏమన్నాడు? But the swan fell at my feet. I picked it up, took out the arrow from the side and applied medicine on its wound. I saved its life. The swan is mine, said Siddhartha. ఈ వాక్యాలన్నీ బాగా ఈజీగా ఉంటాయి నీకు. ఏమన్నాడు? ఎప్పుడైతే సిద్ధార్థుడు స్వాన్ పట్టుకొని కోర్టులోకి వస్తే మహారాజు దేవదత్త అని అడిగాడు, ఆ స్వాన్ నీలేనా అని. అడిగితే ఏం చెప్పాడు? ఎస్, ఇట్ ఈజ్ మైన్. బట్ అంటే వాడు నాదే అని ఎవరు చెప్పారు? దేవదత్త చెప్పాడు. మరి అప్పుడు సిద్ధార్థ ఏం చెప్పాడు? బట్ ఈ స్వాను నా కాళ్ళ దగ్గర పడింది, నేను జాగ్రత్తగా దాన్ని ఏరో తీసి దాన్ని బాగు చేశాను. I picked it up and took out the arrow from its side and applied medicine on its wound. I saved its life. The swan is mine, said Siddhartha. The king asked his chief minister for advice. అప్పుడు అడిగాడు కింగ్ చీఫ్ మినిస్టర్ని అడ్వైస్ అడిగాడట. The minister said, Devadatta shot the swan. Devadatta swan-ni shot chesadu. If Devadatta killed the swan, then it would be his. ఒకవేళ అది చచ్చిపోయింది అనుకోండి, చచ్చిపోతే అప్పుడు ఆ స్వాన్ బిలాంగ్స్ టు దేవదత్త. వెరీ గుడ్ అబ్జర్వేషన్ హియర్. సిద్ధార్థ సేవ్డ్ ఇట్స్ లైఫ్, సో ది స్వాన్ ఈజ్ సిద్ధార్థాస్. అంటే మనం వేటకి వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు సపోజ్ యూ షూట్ సమ్ యానిమల్ అండ్ దట్ యానిమల్ ఈజ్ కిల్డ్, దెన్ probably in those days the law is the animal belongs to the person who shot the animal. But here in this case it is different. Devadatta shot the arrow, the swan fell at Siddhartha's feet. The swan did not die yet, so Siddhartha took out the arrow, cleaned it up, applied medicine, and he saved the swan. Because he saved the swan belongs to Siddhartha. Suppose when Devadatta shot an arrow, the swan is killed, it is dead, then the swan belongs to Devadatta. That is his chief minister's decision. So that is what is called the wise judgment. Because in those days, if somebody shoots at an animal, and if that dies, then it belongs to the person who shot it. But if the animal is not killed, but somebody saves it, then the animal belongs to the person who saved the animal. So that's what it is. So there are some questions here. Who came to the king's court? Why was he angry? Who came to the king's court? Devadatta. Why he is angry? Because Siddhartha took his swan. Siddhartha had taken away something. What had he taken? Siddhartha ఏం తీసుకెళ్ళిపోయాడు? స్వాన్ తీసుకెళ్ళిపోయాడు. What had Siddhartha taken away? That is the swan. What did Siddhartha bring in his arms? తన చేతుల్లో ఏం తీసుకొచ్చాడు? స్వాన్ తీసుకొచ్చాడు. అంటే మన వాక్యం రాసినప్పుడు ఏం రాస్తాం? What did Siddhartha bring in his arms? దాని జవాబు రాయాలంటే did bring అంటే brought రాయాలి. Siddhartha brought a swan in his arms అని రాయొచ్చు. తర్వాత why did Devadatta say the swan was his? Devadatta ఏం చెప్పాడు? ఏమని చెప్పాలి? Why did Devadatta say the swan was his? దానికి మనం why అంటే మనం ఏం చేస్తాం? సృజన శైలి ఏంటి? Devadatta said the swan was his because of the following. ఏమిటి following? ఏమిటది? Because he shot the swan. Now, where did the swan fall? ఎక్కడపడింది? సిద్ధార్థాస్ కాల్ మీద పడిపోయింది. హౌ డిడ్ సిద్ధార్థ సేవ్ ది స్వాన్స్ లైఫ్? సిద్ధార్థుడు ఏ విధంగా స్వాన్ యొక్క లైఫ్ సేవ్ చేశాడంటే దాన్ని యారో తీసి క్లీన్ చేసి మందు వేసి దాని లైఫ్ని సేవ్ చేశాడు. Which do you think is better? Killing a bird or looking after it? నువ్వేమనుకుంటున్నావు? Which is better? Killing a bird లేకపోతే looking after it? So I think అని చెప్పచ్చు. Which do you think better? Doing better. I think it is better to save a swan's life rather than killing it. And also, which is happened. The story shows us Siddhartha was cunning, cruel, and kind. He shows that he is kind. So this finishes the first part, that is wise judgment. Once again, I want to tell you, there is Suddhodana, king of Kapilavastu. His son is Siddhartha. His nephew is Devadatta. One day, it so happened, Devadatta shot an arrow at a swan, and swan fell down to the ground. And at that place, Siddhartha was there. So the swan fell on Siddhartha's feet. So Siddhartha, being kind and gentle, what did he do? He did not kill it and prepare it for dinner or lunch. What did he do? He took out the arrow. He smothered or దాన్ని జాగ్రత్తగా తాకుతూ, మీరు పక్షులన్నిటికీ ఏదో తల మీద తాకుతూ కొంచెం అలా ఉపశమనం కలిగించి, then తను బాగా క్లీన్ చేసి దాన్ని మెడిసిన్ చేశాడు. సో దట్స్ what happened. And Devadatta was angry because he thought he had a swan. So he went to the king and complained to the king and requested the king for justice. At that time, Siddhartha was bringing the swan in his arms, which is a little bit wounded. So in the court scene, you see the king, you see the minister, Siddhartha with the swan in his hand, and Devadatta with a bow and arrow there. So king asked the Devadatta, "Is that your swan?" "Yes, I killed the swan, that is mine." So Siddhartha says, "Yes, it fell on the ground at my feet. So I saved it. I cleaned it up, I cleaned the wound, and then I applied medicine, I saved its life, so it belongs to me." So then the king was puzzled. He is worried. One is his nephew. Devadatta is nephew. And the other one is his son. So he has to be careful about his judgment. Nobody should be hurt. The judgment has to be fair. F-A-I-R, fair. So if it is somebody else, it's a different story. But Devadatta is a nephew and Siddhartha is his son. So he has to make a decision unbiased. పక్షపాతం లేకుండాను అతను నిర్ణయం చేయాలి. దానికి ఏం చేశాడు? He talked to the chief minister there. "Sir, I cannot solve it. Why don't you solve this problem?" So the chief minister said, "Devadatta killed the swan, but Siddhartha saved its life. Had the swan been dead, then it belongs to Devadatta. But it is not dead. Siddhartha saved it. So it belongs to Siddhartha." The person who killed doesn't have the right on the animal, but the person who saves the animal, he has the right. That is the wise judgment. That's what it is. So, okay, this finishes the first part, that is the listening part of it. Then we will come to the read it yourself, a mother's wise advice.